That happened at joint practice between the Jaguars and the Dolphins today. Man, from the start, it was a scrappy one. Multiple fights broke out. There were also multiple injuries we're going to talk about. Plus, what can you expect in terms of the starters playing this weekend against the Jags? And are the Miami Dolphins frontrunners to acquire Brian Robinson Jr. from the Washington Commanders? We got a ton to talk about. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, let's get into this one.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaylen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it over the touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphins fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate all of you taking some time out of your day to lock in with me and go over everything that happened at joint practice today. We got a lot to cover, a lot to get into, and we will get into it in due time. First thing I want to do is I want to shout out, man, we're the four horsemen of Miami Dolphins trips. You know, my good buddy Sean Seipler, I mean, you know, clean the world, everything he does, I always plug that. And I'll be plugging it when I'm back in my studio and I have my reading points and everything too. But, man, he's just a beautiful human being, one of my best friends in life. And, man, it was just awesome to hang out with him. And, of course, Dougley and Dougley's father, Ray, who's an absolutely blast to hang out with. Man, always a good time when the four of us get together. Sad that it's ending, but I know we'll be doing it again sooner rather than later. So, shout out to them. They're actually all starting their travels back. Sean to Orlando and Doug and Ray back to New Jersey. So safe travels to them. So shout out to all of you in the chat. I do want to take a moment and shout out everyone that came up to me at camp. I mean, we had everyone from my 300th subscriber, who's a lovely human being, introduced me to his wife as well, all the way to Dolph Freaky. A lot of people we met today. Rip Tupac, the Finisher, the homie Cash, man, that's my dude right there. Cash, he's a good dude, man. It was good to finally link up with him and meet his brother. But, man, there were so many of you that came up to me and Doug today. I mean, we ran into Kim Camper and Joe Rose as well. So it was great stuff, man. Kevin Williams said he was looking for me at the VIP. I wasn't in the VIP tent, bro. Yesterday we were in the VIP a little bit. Today I was actually just sitting up by the media members, basically. So that's where I was today. And I see the homie PL come through. PL, check your email, by the way. He said, what's up? Was up at 6 a.m. at the gate 10 at 7:45 a.m., all in an effort to meet my deity of Dolphins content creators community. Kept scanning the bleachers and tents, hoping to see you. Was not meant to be this year. Safe travels. Man, we got to hit me up in the best way for y'all to ensure you will link up with me is if you hit me up in my email, right? The email, Phinside The NFL @gmail.com. You can find it like on the YouTube page and stuff, because then we can like arrange it. You know what I mean? But I wish I would have linked up with you, PL. You know, one of the day ones on this channel. So I wish I would have had the chance to really link up with you and meet you, sir. Sad we didn't get a chance to. So, and then Kevin Williams says, looking for you at joint practice. Brother, I mean, I was literally right beside all the media guys. I was right there. So, shout out to the Finisher. He popped off. Me and him were hanging out. So, yeah, it was a good time, man. We met a lot of different people. So, all the way people from Texas, everywhere. So I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through and saying what's up. It was good to see you. The homie Cam Scott, who runs the East 32 tailgate. So yeah, it was good. There it is. There's Rip Tupac. Appreciate you, sir. We didn't have the pub sub. We had to get back. Dudley had to record. They all had to pack and get out. And then I had to drive my buddy to the Bright Line to go back to Orlando. So I didn't have a chance, man. I will get it though. All right. We ordered pizza when we got back here. I'm going to tell you this, that Mr. 01 Extraordinary Pizza. Oh boy, that was unbelievable. Did I get a couple chances to give a couple lessons on watching film to that special someone? No, I won't, but I will say this. All right. I had one of the most respected members of the Dolphins media come up to me and, in so many words, give a slight and continue to show his support for me against that certain someone you're talking about. So shout out to him. But yeah, no, I was right there. I was right there and not a peep. All of a sudden we went quiet. No subliminal shots on Twitter, no nothing. Real quiet. And I'll say this, second year in a row I've come down for training camp and a certain content creator y'all know I don't get along with. Second year I've gone down to training camp. Second year that person has been absent, and the only time they've been absent is when I show up. So all these people, all this talk, all this chatter, all this jibber jabber, but when your boy makes that flight down from Canada right down to the heart of Miami, nothing but silence, brother. Love it. Yeah, we hit up Flanagan's yesterday. Got you know what we did. You know what we did. It was ridiculous, man. We got so much food. It was unbelievable, man. We all left there. We went to Caneswear, and then man, we got some fire. We got some fire new gear from Caneswear. I'm gonna tell you that much, man. I got that all white throwback starter jacket. Ooh-wee. So we got some new gear from Caneswear, and then Flanagan's was like right across the street. So we went and hit that up. So it was awesome stuff, man. It was good stuff. It's been a great time down here. I'll be heading back tomorrow, so I'm here for one more night, and then we are getting back there. But yeah, it was great stuff. Absolutely having a blast down here. So sad that it's coming to an end, but we got to get back to the grind of real life real soon. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's not waste much more time. Don't worry, I'm going to get the pub sub, all right? Everyone's on me to get it. Don't worry, I'm going to get it before I get out of here. Don't worry, all right? So I got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it, all right? No, I'm not a Canes fan. If I've talked about this. If I'm going to claim any team, it would be the Gators. But I'm a college football fan, so first and foremost. So but went to Caneswear for all the Dolphin stuff, right? So, all right, let's get into this. Let's not waste any time. Let's start off with the rumor of the day that I woke up to. If you didn't have a chance to see it, Ricky is at it again. So he tweeted out this morning that the Dolphins are front runners to trade for the Commanders' Brian Robinson Jr. The Niners, Cowboys, and Texans are also interested in trading for Brian Robinson Jr., but the Dolphins right now, they are the front runners right now. Listen, I know some people are going to sit here and say, well, does this mean the Achane injury is more serious? I'm going to be honest with you. I think this might be more of an indictment right now on where Jaylen Wright has been so far. If you didn't know today, Jaylen Wright actually ended up getting hurt today, right? He ended up being carted off the field. So, yeah, I think this is more of an indictment right now on where we're at with Jaylen Wright and Alexander Mattison going down and just the vision of the running back room. If you were going to ask me my thoughts on this, that's what I would tell you, that I look at this as more of an indictment on Wright, Madison being hurt, and just where they're at with the running back room. Now, what I love about Brian Robinson is he can bring that thud that they are looking to bring to the backfield. Now, he's never been a 1,000-yard rusher, and I believe as a rookie he had, 205 snaps, and he had just under 800 yards. So he's averaging just under 4 yards per carry as a rookie. This is his fourth. We're going into his, fourth year in the NFL right now. Obviously, a little bit of familiarity because he is a former Alabama running back. Where I stand with this, hey, if you want to go do it, I like this better than adding Champlin. I like this better than Mike Boone. But what I will say is I would not give up anything higher than a fifth. I really, or one of your depth pieces that you don't think is going to make the roster anyways, but you think you could sneak into a trade. If one of those edge players isn't going to make it, maybe that's someone you throw in with a late round pick. You give that player a shot to catch on somewhere else, and then you're only giving up that late round pick for Brian Robinson Jr. But I wouldn't be giving much at all. Get back no egg monogamy. I don't know about that, but I wouldn't be giving much at all for the. I wouldn't be giving up much at all for the likes of Brian Robinson Jr. I would like the addition to the backfield. I'll continue to say this. From what I saw today, Ollie Gordon is running real hard. He got, obviously because of Wright going down, but then yesterday he was already getting work with the ones. He got more work with the ones today, and he looked good. Ollie looked good. Now, I will say, and we'll get into all the details and everything, the offensive line has not been impressive the last 2 days that I've been there. I'll tell you that right off the rip. I mean, when we got into – so after they were done the red zone work, they got into 11 and 11, starting at their own 40 or 35, I forget. And first drop back for Tua, nothing but pressure. Nothing but pressure. Especially on the outside zone stuff. I wasn't seeing a lot of push in the run game on the outside. We were having more success running inside. That's what I saw, at least for the most part today. Now, the way it worked, the offense was working in front of us, and the Dolphins defense was on the far side. If you want me to say, hey, Reason, how did it go today? I would say, dude, the offense in red zone was lights out. I thought we were going to shred them in 11-11 work when we started from on our own side of the field. I was like, okay, after what I saw in red zone, we're about to shred them right now. Not so much the case. The Jags defense settled in, locked in a little bit more. Yes, Austin Jackson is in a boot. Yeah. I mean, should any of us be surprised? No, Michael, I didn't go to Beaucamper for wings, but I guess Joe Rose and Kim Beaucamper were about to shoot a podcast episode from the stands. So I did meet them, right? I shook their hands. I told them what's up. I told Joe Rose, hey, man, I'm the guy who was on your show a couple months ago, giving one of those media members hell. And he's like, did you make sure to give him a lot of hell? I said, yes, sir. He's like, I love it. So shout out to Joe Rose. It was a good time. Good conversation with him. Nice meeting him. Our offensive line, I'm telling you right now, it's not especially the depth, not great. Not great. Especially on that outside zone stuff. Wasn't overly impressed. And I'll tell you this much. Trevor Lawrence, when they got into situational football, so they got into this situational where it was no timeouts, 48 seconds left, starting on your own side of the field, and you got to drive, obviously, right? Now, Trevor Lawrence, they ended up getting deep in our end, but that would have been, he was sacked, but they let the play continue, and then they got into our end. But if it would have been real time, Trevor Lawrence, we would have got out of that and had them punting. You're down by 2. It was 30-28 is what they made the score. So you're down by 2, 48 seconds left, no timeouts, starting on your side of the field, and you got to go get points. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm telling you, I know there's a bunch of you in the chat that were there today. Raise your hand if you saw Trevor Lawrence miss. They had a receiver split our secondary right up the middle, and Lawrence overthrew it. He was gone for 6. And Trevor Lawrence just overthrew him, like just overshot him. Now, I see Justin Floyd says definitely sacked by Phillips. Yeah, that was on the throw that he made there. So some more observations I would say that I had from camp today. That defense is locked in. That defense looked real good. Jason Marshall looked good. You know what I mean? I liked what I saw. We were shutting down that Jags offense pretty hard. Pretty hard. Now, let me tell you this. Once again, Ewers didn't get much work. A second day in a row, Ewers got no work in 11-11s from our own side of the field. Right? And Zach Wilson didn't look impressive at all. So, I thought he looked a little bit, he didn't look great yesterday either, but he made a couple like really nice throws yesterday. Didn't really see that from him today. I think the best throw I saw today was probably in that situational drill I was telling you about. And Justin's in the chat, and I know Kevin's in the chat, and a bunch of you who are there in the chat. Tua dropped a dime up the right sideline, probably about 25, 30 yards downfield, and it hit Malik in the fingertips, and he couldn't bring it in. But it hit him in the hands. And Tua dropped a freaking dime. And, it had to – pretty much all of us agreed you had to bring that one in. You had to bring that in. So that was a tough one. I thought Tua made a really nice throw on that. And it would have changed the momentum of that situational drill. Now the Dolphins did end up getting on the Jaguar side of the field, but not very deep on that situational drill. So it was an interesting joint practice, that's for sure. Compared to last year with the Falcons, it was interesting. The scraps made it interesting. Listen, I'm telling you, you saw stuff, for example, before Jaylen Wright got hurt, all right? So you had scraps in one-on-ones, right? Patrick Paul and a Jaguars player were getting in each other's face. Paul had stonewalled him. Then the second time around, the defender got the better of him, and then they got in each other's face. You had little scuffles going on with the defense, right? I'm telling you, Jaylen Wright, he finished a run on the right sideline and was pushed out. And you know what he did? He face-washed the Jaguars defender, and then the Jaguars defender got in his face, and they kind of had to be separated. But there was a big scrap where, like, punches were – you guys see where the players run out from Baptist training facility. You see how they run out onto the field, right? Well, there was a scrap that happened between the Dolphins defense and the Jaguars offense where it started like the sidelines cleared and it started funneling and pooling into the actual training facility. There were punches being thrown. I mean, it was wild. And it went on for like a good minute or two. Like, it was going down on the other side. So players had to be separated. There were punches thrown. It was pretty wild. And last year when I was here for Falcons training camp, joint practice with the Falcons, there was some scraps too. So I don't know. The intensity really jacks up with these guys when you got all of that testosterone on the same field. So absolutely crazy. So let's keep it going, though. Those are some of my observations from today. And as we go over, right, Travis Wingfield, the Sun Sentinel, and the Miami Herald, I'll add context to the things they say based on what I saw for you, okay? So let's get into, before practice started, Mike McDaniel did meet with the media. Now, Darren Waller, participated in some team drills, and then that was it. Him and Julian Hill at one point were doing like wind sprints in the end zone together. So, yeah. So Darren Waller didn't get much in today. But remember, we got about 2.5 weeks until the season starts. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the work happen with Darren Waller and getting him caught up. Ricky, my goat, says, should we be concerned about the offensive line? If players are hurt, yes, I would be. 110%. If starters are going down, I would be 110% worried about this offensive line. So, all right, let's get into this. Let's start off with Mike McDaniel meeting with the media today. So Mike McDaniel, he met with the media today and he gave some updates. He said the Miami Dolphins starters will play in Saturday's game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. He wouldn't share how long he plans to play his first team, but he did wanted them to get some run in order to get the last juiced jitterbugs out. The length of that will be determined by today's practice. I'm going to tell you this much. If you're planning on giving the starters one drive, I'd give them 2 drives. Just based off what I saw. So, Kenneth Grant, he's considered day-to-day, according to Mike McDaniel. He missed practice yesterday. He said he wasn't necessarily concerned about the injury. But he said for toughest of competitors, it would hold back. McDaniel said of the rookie's injury, but it's not something we are worried about. As far as Darren Waller, McDaniel continued to urge patience with the situation. And he said, I think we're looking forward to him growing in our offense readily and pretty quickly because I've watched him attack the time since he's been back. So his week 1 status is open. So he said he's done a great job, and you'll see more of him today, which he was right. We saw him a little bit in team drills. Kendall Sheffield did not practice yesterday. And then he obviously did not practice again today, and he's dealing with, quote, a soft tissue injury, and he'll be out several days to a week. McDaniel said it's right in that middle ground. Man, they just keep taking hits in that secondary. It's unbelievable. So, and I'll tell you, there's a shot of like Chubb and Phillips and Chop and Judon, the 4 of them, like standing together, powwowing. I looked at it, I'm like, man, this pass rush could be insane this year. Could be insane. So now speaking of edge, because it's so loaded and they added Judon, McDaniel did admit today that the position presents some of the toughest 53-man roster decisions because of all the young pass rushers. That's why I said, if you're going to get Brian Robinson, try and trade one of those young pass rushers that you think you're going to cut. Everybody benefits from increased competition. When you visit with someone that unequivocally makes clear that I was out this offseason, I want nothing to do with that. I want to be part of a team. So there were some updates for you guys. Waller was back. No Sheffield. Man, that secondary just keeps, I was talking to my Sean and Doug and Ray about it last night, and I said, isn't it crazy? Right? Kohu's been relatively healthy his whole time here in Miami. And the 1 year we decide to lean on him as cornerback 1, he has the worst injury of his career. Like, it's unreal, the lack of luck we have as a team. Like, it really is. So let's get into today's practice. Let's start off with what Travis Wingfield saw today. We're going to go over that right now. All right. So here we go. He starts off, he says, Taj Washington strong. Summer continues in this 1-versus-1 period. He made a contested catch on a nice back shoulder ball from Tua. Then he stacks a man vertically, stops on a dime, and the ball is there with 3 to 4 yards of separation. Oh, I'm going to talk about 1-versus-1s when we're done going through Travis's updates here. Isaiah Johnson had a nice 1-versus-1 period where from the defensive field. Saw 2 incompletions where he was right in phase. Washington's first snap on special teams as a gunner is a blow by around the two jams on the sideline, got to the return man at the same time as the punt. Back-to-back 15-yard touchdowns for Tua. This was in the red zone work. Beautiful ball to Malik in the back corner for the touchdown. Cool play design. With Waddle taking coverage away, Tua layers in and is right on the money. Next play, Tua sticks a fastball between the 1 and 7 on Waddle with the defender on his back for another 15-yard score. Yeah, Tua was looking sharp in that red zone work. He was dicing them. Ollie then powered his way through an arm tackle on a gap widened by Keon Smith. That was a 5-yard run. Yeah, they ran to that left side. It was pretty strong. Jaylen Wright has a max truck size lane between Brew and Jonah for a walk-in 5-yard touchdown. Minka on the other side picked off Lawrence. Didn't see how it happened, but 29 was going the other way. Yeah, it was a pick six. Ethan Robinson got a pass breakup at the front pylon. The Miami defense is on the far field, and I get his pain there. So it was really hard to detail, but he's seen the ball hit the ground with the Dolphins defense celebrating a lot. And Brian Thomas did score a touchdown, though. After a hot start for the offense, a couple of wins for the Jags defense. Wilson can't get the flat complete with a rusher in his face. Then the Jags completely blow up a Champlin run, and then Ewers is sacked. Looked like they confused him a little with the coverage. Minka comes down the weak side C-gap and flattens for a tackle for a loss. Travon Walker sets a hard edge on Borum and swallows up Wright for no gain. He and Allen Hines are quick and strong. Good test for the Phins today. Lawrence tries to strike for about 20 on the opposite field. Minka close, but it's complete. Malik, he chipped Allen Hines, lifted him up off his feet, and gave Paul an easy win for the fact. Leads to a 2 completion to Ollie for about 7 yards. Wilson threw a Hail Mary that Andrew Armstrong pulls down. Kind of a wild throw, but the rookie pays it off. Other field, Quentin Bell defeats a block. Wild throw. That thing was a duck. That thing would look like a duck shot out of air. I don't know how Andrew Armstrong made that catch because he was contested pretty hard on that. There was good coverage, and Andrew Armstrong went out and got it. I thought it was going to get picked. It was like wobble doesn't even begin to describe that thing. Quinn Bell now works around a game on the inside to pick up a stack. Kevin Harris has a big run around the edge. Jags tackle Kamara inside for the lane. Eskridge gets a step on Jerry and Jones, but Tua's pass is a yard out of reach. Waddle got a lot of run early, but the Dolphins have been going with some of the wide receiver depth in these team drills, working with Tua and the first team O-line. Nick Westbrook-Akine ran 2 routes in one-on-one and completely shook the corner both times. Yeah, man, he was using his shoulders. He was working them with jab steps and everything. That work at the top of the stem at his size is a pretty nice combo. First play of the period was a dot from Tua to Eskridge, 40-yard handoff. Jags got a short run on their first play of the period with Jordan Phillips getting knocked back. The next play looked like a sack for the other Phillips, Jaylen. Dolphins offense has an end around blown up. Then Tua finds a pair of short throws to Gordon and Ingold. Ollie dropped his shoulder on a defender, much to the delight of the crowd here. Lawrence throws a frozen rope back shoulder for a chunk with duck in coverage. Melifanu sees an outside run coming and comes crashing in from the depth, blows it up to the line of scrimmage, thudded up and stopped the back of his in his tracks. Jack Jones picks off Lawrence and has a convoy coming back the other way. Farrell Brown caught a little flat route and was stripped, fell back on it. Next play, he carries a block 10 yards down the field as Ollie follows him. Borum and James Daniels for a nice run. Tua had 2 completions over the middle in this period. First one to Malik for about 10, then hits Waddle, who might have been out the gate, but we'll call it 20. Yeah, he hit him on a slant, and Waddle split the defenders. He was gone. He was gone. He only had the safety to beat. The Dolphins tried another end around. First one was totally blown up, and this time Josh Hines-Allen nearly intercepts a toss. Not sure we've ever seen that before. Everyone gathers on the same field for an end-of-game situation. Jags up first. First down pass was batted down by Sealer. Second down, Parker Washington tries to split Minka and Melifonwu down the middle, but the ball is a bit high. It's a tight window. 3rd and 10. Chubb and Brooks coverage for the sack on Lawrence. He completes it, and they move the ball, but the play was cooked. That's what I was telling you about. It was over. Yeah, that play was over. But they let him move the ball downfield. Dolphins up now for end-of-game situation. Malik gets 1-versus-1 coverage, gets a half-step. Ball is just off his fingertips. I'm telling you, it was money. Tua put it there, money up the right sideline, like 25, 30 yards downfield. Then Nick Westbrook-Akine runs a little double move, but he and the ball are in different places. Quickly 3rd and 10. Now a 3rd down completion to Connor sets up 4th and 5. Tua puts a ball in the face mask of Eskridge streaking down the middle. It goes 17, but it kind of seemed like he could have kept running. So there's a few things I do want to talk about. Okay, now Travis brought up one-on-ones, right? And, I mean, Finisher's in the chat. He was sitting there with me. I'm going to tell you straight up. And this is 1-versus-1s, which are in favor and an advantage for the wide receivers, obviously, right? Zach Wilson did not look good. Like, Tua's sharp. Ewers almost, I think I saw one bad throw. Everything was on the dot. Everything, he was anticipating the break, ball on time, ball on well-placed. Zach Wilson, listen, you know what was crazy? If you would have looked at me at one point, if you would have said, oh, hey, there's reason, let me watch him for a sec, you would have seen me damn near almost laughing during 1-versus-1s. And I'm going to tell you why. Zach Wilson's even holding the ball too long in 1-versus-1s. Like, he's fully, I'm telling you, he's sitting back there and he's fully waiting for the receiver to get to the top of his stem, break out, and then come across, and then he's throwing it. Like, he's not even throwing the ball when guys are coming out of their breaks in 1-versus-1s. He's throwing when they're well into their break. Like, I was like, this is wild. I've never seen this, man. Like, I've never seen someone in 1-versus-1s do that. I'm like, how do you hold the ball too long in 1-versus-1s? There's no freaking pass rusher. What are you afraid of, bro? It was, yeah, man. It was, I'm going to tell you this. It was just, other than those 2 throws I saw yesterday from Zach Wilson, and he still didn't even have really that good of a day, I am not overly impressed with him. What a waste of $6 million. Let me be I know I've been saying that since we signed him for $6 million, but listen, I am not happy about the fact that, everything I said about this situation is coming to fruition. I am not happy about that. I mean, I would have loved to have been proven wrong, but in the same breath, everything I said about Ewers is coming to fruition, and that's a positive for us, because I'm going to tell you this right now. I mean, shout out to Sean. We had a chance to I linked up with Darrell Bevel yesterday after practice for a little bit. Me and Doug and Sean linked up with him, and we left. And I told Sean, and I said, man, you do not understand the urge I had to tell Darrell Bevel Quinn QB2. I had such urge to say to him, yeah, Quinn QB2, but we were talking about the Detroit joint practices and the Chicago joint practices and that stuff. So, and I didn't want to, be too much the first time meeting Darrell Bevel, because you all know Mike McDaniel's first year here, I was calling for Darrell Bevel to take over play calling. So you all know I think very highly of Darrell Bevel. So I didn't want to overstep, my boundary there with him. But man, I was resisting the urge. Let me tell you that. And then after what I saw today, I mean, how do you hold the ball too long in 1-versus-1s? Like, what are we talking about here? I'm sorry, man. I am all the way out. I am all the way out on Zach Wilson. I'm so out on Zach Wilson. You would have to find a team of explorers would have to come out and find me in my location. That's how out I am on Zach Wilson. I'm like off the radar out on this guy. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I'm going to be honest with you. Mike, I'm looking at you. I know this is your project. We know you fell in love with Trey Lance and you talked Shanahan out of Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones ended up being the rookie of the year, and he hasn't lived up to that. Obviously, he's a backup. He's turned into a journeyman, but at least Mac did that compared to what Trey Lance has done. And this feels like Trey Lance 2.0. That's what it feels like to me. Mike just falling in love with the traits. I don't get it. So, hey, man. Good luck to you if we gotta rely on that guy. Holy jeez. I mean, then again, if you have to rely on him because something happened to Tua and you're going for a draft pick, you can rely on Zach Wilson to get you a draft pick, that's for sure. So, but yeah, that was Travis pretty much nailed a lot of the big highlights from today. He pretty much did, for sure. So I'll tell you this before. I've been there the last 2 days. We've gone over what Travis has said. Travis is the most in-depth and the most accurate. I mean, he's not just spewing sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Now, he didn't mention any injuries, and we'll get into that here. But, yeah, everything he said was pretty much accurate. You're not going to hear me push back on anything he said there. So let's get into what the Miami Herald said and saw about today's practice. All right, so this is what they saw went down. So the most notable development on Thursday's practice was running back Jaylen Wright walked slowly into the Baptist Health Facility attached to the team's practice complex for further evaluation on an injury midway through the session. Details on the injury weren't immediately known. Without Wright, the Dolphins would be left with just 3 healthy running backs, Ollie Gordon, Mike Boone, and Aaron Shamklin. But Boone and Shamklin were recently just signed. Wright is in a position to be the Dolphins' number 2 running back behind Devon Achane, who remains out with a calf issue. In addition, A.J. Henning exited Thursday's practice on a cart with crutches. Jordan Brooks also appeared to injure his leg on Thursday, but he remained on the practice field. On Waller, just 1 day after the Dolphins activated Darren Waller off the physically unable to perform list, McDaniel provided a glimpse at what the team's thinking with Waller. Waller's involvement mostly was limited to stretching and taking mental reps on Wednesday, but he did a bit more on Thursday. Waller still has yet to take part in 11-11 drills, though. So that's where we're at with Darren Waller. So Tyreek Hill and Achane did not practice. Kenneth Grant did not practice. Kendall Sheffield was held out as well today. Ashton Davis, Ethan Bonner, Andrew Meyer, Baron Matos, and Austin Jackson, they were not there today as well. Cornell Armstrong appeared to hurt his ankle while warming up for practice on Thursday. But obviously the most notable development was the Jaylen Wright stuff, right? Daquan Jackson was out of a red non-contact jersey. Keon Smith was back practicing Thursday. There was no orange jersey player for the Dolphins on Thursday. And McDaniel said he didn't want to put a target on any player. Also, there was no even fan of the day orange jersey. Patrick Paul has some heated reps with Josh Allen-Hines, so that's who it was that he got in the face with. I reached a point where Hines Allen went up to talk to Paul, but it seemed like more like talking than confronting the second-year player. I don't know. He got in his face. The best performer during one-on-ones was Aaron Brewer, who won every rep. Braden Daniel also did well in his reps, but all of Miami's backup offensive tackles struggled, as did Daniel Brunskill. There were a few fights that broke out between the Dolphins and Jaguars during the joint practice. One fight between the Jags offense and Dolphins defense spilled into the Dolphins indoor. It was crazy, into the indoor practice facility. It was crazy. That went on. There were punches thrown there. Dolphins defense opened 11-11 red zone drills with a sack by Zach Sealer. Malik Washington caught an 11-yard touchdown pass from Tua during red zone drills. Dolphins wide receiver Jaylen Waddle then caught a 7-yard touchdown on the next play. Theo Weiss also put in a touchdown reception from Zach Wilson. Tagovailoa was sacked by Jaguars defensive lineman Arik Armstead during red zone work. Dolphin safety Minka Fitzpatrick intercepted a pass thrown by Trevor Lawrence, and that would have been a pick 6. Wright ran in for a 5-yard touchdown during red zone work prior to leaving Thursday's practice. there was a rough two-play sequence for Wilson, who threw a bounce pass to tight end Tanner Connor, which would have been an easy touchdown. And then he was sacked by Emmanuel Ogbah. Yeah, all of us were talking about how Ogbah was – obviously, he gets a sack when he comes back. Brian Thomas beat Dolphins cornerback Storm Duck for a short touchdown on a quick slant in the red zone. Dolphins defense held its own against the Jaguars offense in the red zone, with Steeler consistently getting penetration. So love to see that. Fitzpatrick picking off a pass in the secondary, deflecting a few passes. Jason Marshall Jr. broke up a deep pass to Thomas while playing as a nickel. Man, Jason Marshall's been good the last 2 days I've been there. Jack Jones intercepted a pass from Lawrence. Andrew Armstrong came away with an impressive 35-yard reception over a few Jaguars on a pass thrown by Wilson. Now, no one's mentioning this. We've gone Travis. Now we're Miami Herald. Guys, it was a duck. Like, I'm talking like a duck shot out of the air. Like, it was wobbly city. They need to put more respect on Andrew Armstrong for making that catch. Quentin Bell recorded back-to-back run stops and then a sack during 11-11 drills. Ventrell Miller forced a fumble on Farrell Brown, who I'm not impressed by Farrell Brown, might I add. He had like one or two good blocks. Other than that, Jaylen Phillips sacked Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence during 11-11 drills. Thomas beat Jack Jones for a 45-yard reception. With Tagovailoa at quarterback, the Dolphins offense came up empty on a drive during situational drills against the Jags defense. And Jackson Carman and Jaguars defensive lineman Mason Smith got into a shoving match during one-on-ones. I'm telling you, this practice was scrappy from the get-go. And then Aaron Brewer, after practice, basically went out and said that the Chicago Bears were fake tough guys. So, I mean, we're out here writing checks. And I know Tua, he ended up, I believe Tua, he went ahead and he had a media availability. I haven't looked at it yet because it had a lot coming on since we left practice. So, but yeah, like a few things we'll talk about here, and I know I mentioned them while we were going over this stuff. But first of all, I don't know why everyone's afraid to say that Andrew Armstrong catch was off an absolute duck. All right. Like it was not good. But man, Patrick Paul, he's a big shredded boy, and he's not putting up with nothing. He looks like he's got, and I mean, you saw it in his tape a little too when he was coming out, right? He's got a little bit of that nasty side to him. Got a little bit of that nasty side to him for sure. I love seeing that. Now, Jaylen Wright. This is okay. So let's go over the injuries for a second. I will say this: Jordan Brooks injury, I did not see. I did not see the Jordan Brooks injury. The AJ Henning injury, that was on a kick return. Jaguars defender came in, went low, went below the waist. Henning went to the ground, tried to get up, did that thing where, they're on two knees and they're on their hands, tried to get up, went back down for a sec. Then he got up and he was helped off by trainers. So that's what happened to AJ Henning. Jaylen Wright. It looks like his injury looks like it was something to do on his left leg. I don't know where I don't know what part of that leg of the leg. It could be I don't know what was hurt, but it looked like whatever was ailing him was on that left leg. So I don't know. It didn't look great. With the AJ Henning injury didn't look great, and the Jaylen Wright injury didn't look great. So we'll see. But it's yeah, the injuries are stacking up already. So, and Jaylen Wright is fighting for, that running back to life. He can't afford an injury right now that's going to sideline him and open the door for Ollie Gordon, who's running really well right now. Yeah, Jordan Brooks got hurt, but I didn't see it. And according to the reports here that we've gone over, Jordan Brooks returned to the field. I didn't see the Jordan Brooks injury. I saw the AJ Henning injury, and I saw the Jaylen Wright injury. Special teams, because no one talked about special teams yet in any of these reports. Bailey had a few bombs, so that was impressive. Now let's get into what the Sun Sentinel saw today. So this is what the Sun Sentinel had to talk about today. All right. The Dolphins had their final joint practice of training camp Thursday, as well as their final practice open to fans when Jacksonville came to town. Midway through practice, a fight between the Dolphins defense and Jaguars offense merged into two separate fights. The scrap started outside on the practice field, and some of the action migrated to the inside practice facility through an open garage-type door. Dolphins defensive tackle Matthew Butler started chasing someone indoors, and an injured safety, Ashton Davis, was getting in there too. Later, Dolphins wide receiver D. Eskridge had a small shoving match with Jordan Lewis. The Dolphins were feisty, and they were physical today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, I love the physicality there. So they were not backing down at all. So obviously, Tyreek Hill versus Travis Hunter didn't happen. Neither player practiced today. All right. Jaylen Wright left practice early. He was seen flexing his right leg as he left the field. I thought it was his left leg. Wright was later seen entering the Baptist Health Medical Facility that's attached to the Dolphin training facility. And I even asked Doug, and Doug said he saw it, and it was his left leg too. So me and Doug, from what we saw, was the left leg. Perkins is saying the right. Well, this is Perkins and Feronas. Wright is locked in a battle for the number 2 job with Ollie Gordon, and Achane is sidelined with a calf injury. AJ Henning went to the Baptist Health Medical Facility on a cart. He was on crutches once he left the cart. Yeah, he took it low, man. Kenneth Grant, Achane, Andrew Meyer, Matos, Austin Jackson, Kendall Sheffield, Ashton Davis, Ethan Bonner did not practice today either. Daquan Jackson was out of that red no-contact jersey. No one had the orange jersey. The first team Dolphins offense had a narrow edge over the Jaguars defense early in practice. Aaron Brewer said the Dolphins slumped a bit in the middle of practice but picked up again at the end. The Dolphins' first team defense had significant edge over the Jaguars defense early in practice. Dolphins O-line versus Jaguars D-line one-on-one. Overall, the Dolphins did well enough, although the Jaguars had their moments. The highlight was Patrick Paul versus Josh Hines-Allen. Paul pancaked Hines-Allen on the first rep, and Hines-Allen clearly beat Paul on the second rep. Yeah, he got around him and got inside. So on O-line from the Dolphins versus Jags, D-line one-on-one, James Daniels lost to Arik Armstead. Jonas Savaianaya defeated Tyler Lacey. Patrick Paul pancaked Josh Allen Hine. Jackson Carman tied with Dwayne Smoot. Braden Daniels tied with Mason Smith, and then they got into it. Keon Smith tied with Jalen McLeod. Larry Borum loses to Danny Stringro. Jack Jones was shoved to the ground at the end of a scrum early in practice. I'm telling you, it was feisty today. It was choppy. Dolphins D-line versus Jaguars O-line. Jalen Phillips was stopped once on a repetition, but later swooped around Anton Harrison. Bradley Chubb was forced up the field once on one rep. Then on another rep, he goes outside in and draws a hold from Walker Little. Benito Jones was on the ground twice. Matt Judon beat Fred Johnson as he forced a hold up near his face mask. Matt Dickerson beat Tremaine Ankrum on the outside shoulder, and Grayson Murphy forces a hold on Ricky Lee. Jaylen Wright short gain of 3 or 4 yards to the run to the right. First play of 11-11, which is a good sign considering he was running behind Larry Borum. Tagovailoa had an 11-yard touchdown to Malik Washington in the left corner of the end zone. Washington continues to have a good camp. Tagovailoa to Jalen Waddle for an 11-yard touchdown on a slant, beating Jerry Jones. Tagovailoa to Tua connection remains strong. Tagovailoa suffers a coverage sack by the Jaguars. He looked at Jalen Wright and Tanner Connor, who were both covered. Ollie Gordon has a short gain left behind blocking of Keon Smith, who left Wednesday's practice early. Smith has been working as the number 2 left tackle. So at least they've kicked him back out. Yeah, I noticed they've kicked him back out to tackle instead of guard. Zach Wilson, 8-yard touchdown pass to Theo Weiss in the back of the end zone. In the middle of the field, Weiss is having a strong camp, largely against the third team. This was against the second team. Jalen Wright had a 6-yard touchdown run as Patrick Paul and Jonas Savaianaya moved Tyler Lacey. Paul and Savaianaya, they've worked well together in camp. Wilson sacked by Ogba, the ex-Dolphin. He had no chance as Ogba came untouched on the offense's right side. Jason Marshall Jr. had a nice pass breakup versus Brian Thomas. Marshall also had a red zone pass breakup. Andrew Armstrong had a nice 35-yard reception versus double coverage on a strong throw from Wilson. Quinn Bell had a nice 3-play burst with 2 run stops and a sack. Earlier, he set the edge, forcing a run back inside, and also made the stop. So good stuff right there, no doubt about it. Jack Jones had an interception on Trevor Lawrence. Micah Fitzpatrick, who had an interception earlier, which would have been a pick 6, was pressuring Lawrence. Pharaoh Brown caught a short pass from Tagovailoa, but Ventrell Miller forced a fumble. Brown recovered the loose ball. Liam Eichenberg was seen on the sideline with a sleeve on his left leg. Waller wasn't participating in any drills, 1-on-1 or 11-11. Austin Jackson was in a walking boot. And Jordan Brooks appeared to sustain a left leg injury late in practice while rushing the quarterback. He was walking gingerly for the remainder of practice and didn't go back on the field. Stock up Patrick Paul. He was good in 1-versus-1s. Josh Allen, Hines Allen, and also teamed up with Jonas Savai for some strong run blocking. Paul did good blocking on his own in the run game. He continues to be one of the top stories of camp. Stock down is the running back situation with Achane and Jaylen Wright possibly sidelined. Saturday's game might largely be left to Mike Boone and Aaron Shamplin. All right, so a couple of things here to go over with you guys from what was said by the Sun Sentinel here, all right? Well, first of all, about the backup running backs, give Ollie Gordon some work still. All right. Now, they might have him out there with the ones for how many ever drives are on and then put him back in the bubble wrap because how everyone's getting hurt right now. I don't know. But again, look at this. Okay, I want you to see this. Andrew Armstrong had a nice 35 reception versus double coverage on a strong throw from Zach Wilson. Guys, strong throw, that was a duck. When I mean duck, I mean wobble duck. So I don't know what they're talking about, strong throw. That was a absolute duck. All right? That was an ugly throw. So I don't know about strong throw from Zach Wilson. That's a lie. That is not true by any stretch of the imagination. The other thing you'll notice when we went over the Sun Sentinel, again, they were finding more success running on the inside with this line than they were with the outside zone stuff. That was evident from early on. They were finding much more success running inside and between the gaps than trying to kick it out off the edge. There was no doubt about that. So, you can tell we're kind of getting into a little bit more of a power run team, which a lot of teams are turning into now, right? So the NFL is about cycles, 5-year cycles, basically. But yeah, I just don't know what is everyone talking about with this strong throw? It kills me. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. I thought in 11-11s, I thought we were gonna tear them up after how we looked. I mean, even Justin Floyd. Look at this. Justin Floyd, who was there today. That's a straight up lie. It was the ugliest throw of practice. I'm telling you, it was wobble. It was, that thing did the waddle in the air. It was brutal. So Zach Wilson using the money to buy good reviews. Oh my God. But yeah, it wasn't, he was not impressive in 1-on-1s, 11-11s. I just don't see it. And I know what they're going to do. They're going to politic it. So, I mean, hey, do your thing because he's making $6 million. Guys, over 450 of you in the room right now. I want you to do me a favor. Smash that like button. If you are new, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to enjoy my last full night in Florida before I get back to the north tomorrow evening. So, I'm going to go out and enjoy my last night out here. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting me, supporting the channel. You guys are the reason I'm down here to begin with. So if it wasn't for me covering the team and bringing the content to you guys, I wouldn't even be down here right now. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. And just know I'll catch you on the next one. Until that time, fins up all day, every day. I will see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Take it easy, everyone.